You know, they say, yeah, go down to good old Mexico. Find yourself a pretty little senorita. Get yourself some mota. Smoke weed, be high all day, and have a beautiful young senorita smiling at you every day in the beautiful hills of Mexico. Ain't that what they say? Well, you know what they say about people that say, you know what they say? They say, people that say, you know what they say, don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Hi, baby. Not sure what's going on, but there's a lot of shooting going on upstairs. It ain't just making sounds. I don't know what's going on, but it sounds like people are coming out of the woodwork because they're going crazy up there. They just let off, I don't know, 12 rounds about 10 minutes ago. That then about 3 minutes ago, boom, boom, boom. So something's going on. That President Trump had spoken to the president of Mexico on this issue, and that's when the phrase political refugee came to light. This was back in late May of 2019. Apparently at first, when they tried to get me, they gave 4 attempts in one day. They had cars with the real dark tinted windows, and I'm not going to say exactly how, but through the messages I knew what time, where to go, and take my dog and go that direction, and they'll get me. Well, on the fourth time, my dog, she collapsed on the way back because of the heat and no water, and it was about a 2-mile walk one way out of town. It was a small town. It was out to the hills. And it broke my heart. It was the second time, and I got angry. And this was the 4th time, and I got on social media and basically said, you know, you can't see over the fucking hill? You can't see they got pickup trucks with like 6 people with these big fucking machine guns in their hand? You can't see that over the hill? You bring cars, 4-door sedans that can... You bring fucking cars, and then you're scared at the end after you make me walk 2 fucking miles because you know you're being watched? You can't see over the fucking hill? You can see all the way up to the fucking moon and up to the fucking sun, but you can't see over the fucking hill? You got goddamn satellites. You can't look down and say, wow, you know, before we go to that little bitty town, you can't see over the fucking hill? You put me in danger with my dog? Cartel wants to fucking kill me. I'm walking down the fucking street with my dog. 4 fucking times, 2 miles there, 2 miles back. My dog collapses twice, you fucking idiots. Then things got worse. I stopped in a small town called Ixtlan del Rio, Nayarit, Mexico. And this is where the majority of things went wrong. I got myself a motel room. And I was there for several weeks, and I made a video called Deep in Mexico. I made a video called Mota, which is about marijuana. And I filmed that little town in both of these videos. I had no idea what was about to come my way.
Now you know will be blue. I'll always stay true. I'll be blue. Always true. Loving you. There is only one for me. I'll always be loving you.
Yeah. They removed the bar yesterday about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then the guns started going off. Been here 7 weeks. I've never even heard a firecracker pop. Gunshots now for about 29 hours. This morning, I took a chance and left and walked the dog. I figured since they're shooting upstairs, I was protected. I didn't mention this earlier, but a car that I've always seen waiting outside near the hotel, which I assume was the FBI because they were around in the beginning, I was wrong. This morning, as I passed that particular car, there's usually 2 men in it. There was only one. Didn't pay attention. Walked my dog. Took a long walk. I usually go the other road, but I didn't. Came back, and for some reason, something said, don't walk behind the car, walk in front of it, head to the hotel. So I did. He started his car. I stopped for a second while Honey smelled the sidewalk, turned around. Some guy jumped in the back seat. The car takes off past me, and all I could see was the driver. Another close call. Need to clean up around here. Just had a little too much junk around here lately. Let's move it a little closer. Oh, gosh. You know, this is getting old. What the hell? All over the floor. Damn things get all over the place. No, I'm gonna need them. No, let's see. This stuff's all dry now. Ah, shit. It's all over the floor again. Damn it. Ah, shit. There's more shit. All this dry weed. Oh. Well, good thing I got some fresh weed today. Let's see. They started at 4:45 this morning. When I went to take Honey for a walk at 6:05 this morning, the hotel guard has to unlock the gate to let me out because it's locked in here. He points to the roof and says, pisto or pedo or I don't know what word he said. I said, mucho, mucho, bang, bang, bang. He goes, see? It woke him up. Because at about 5 o'clock, I mean, they went off. And they were out front and on the roof. They're not just on the roof. They were out front this morning when it was still dark. So they're walking around the building shooting off, and nobody hears bullets here, so everybody knows what's going on. Political refugee or some shit, I guess.
So I walked out of town, up into the hills, where the thorns are not a half-inch long, but an inch long, an inch and a half long on the ground, with my sandals and shorts. These bastards. Anyway, I managed to secure a little tent, not a tent, a camp spot. One by one, I had to pick up these damn little thorns and make a little bed, and my poor honey. Don't even want to talk about it. So I hid there. Then the next morning, now it's Thursday morning, it was Wednesday when I did this. Wednesday evening I did. Now it's Thursday because that was day 58 of my POW, for Thursday. So Thursday morning, about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I get up, as I'm at this campsite now for about 12 hours or so, 14 hours. I get up, and some reason the nighttime was kind of light. There was no full moon though, so I figured out a way back down from my site all the way back down to a back little road, walked my little ass back into town. I was by myself, left my dog at the campsite. I already had this figured out. Then I tucked my ponytail underneath my cap, put on a white shirt that I never wear, and long blue jeans. I'm always in shorts. Walked right into town, walked right past two amigos, and they said, and I kept walking. I think they were seeing if I knew Spanish or not, and I didn't say anything, just kept walking. So I got on that food forest and stuff and walked right around the corner, walked down the street, 2:15, 2:30 in the morning, made a right, dropped my receipt on the ground, walked away. Got back to my site. Took about 2 hours. All of a sudden, boom, 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 they were shooting off the guns. See? Military's involved. Today they bought 2 military vehicles to make it look like I'm supposed to listen to this sound to go back into town because I escaped. Yeah, they found my site, but I figured it out. I heard them. So I moved. And I moved about 40, 50 feet away, just far enough so my dog won't bark. And here they come swamping, and I could hear them. It's so thick up here in the desert, up in these hills. And they thought they had me, and I'm laughing my. So now they started using sound effects. They got these cow sounds. Womp, womp. So they taunt me because it's up in the hills.
Oh, how good it is to be here. Oh, how good it is to be here.
Once I escaped Ixtlan del Rio, and I made it to the next town north, which was Tepic. Tepic, I got a hotel room on the 5th floor, room number 311. I was there for 3 nights, and I got a message on my phone from my team, so to speak, the people that were looking over me, trying to help me out of Mexico, saying there's a threat on your life tonight, and it had a map. It showed my motel, my street. It showed like 2 blocks away, maybe a block down to the left, some kind of something, and then behind me a couple of blocks, and there were some initials. And to me, it looked like it said deal and no deal with an amount of money. I have no idea what it meant exactly, but I knew I had to get out of there. So what I did is, instead of looking like I'm leaving the room, I used to walk my dog each morning and a couple times during the day the first 3 days I was at this motel. What I did is I got an outfit on, shorts and t-shirt like I always do, except this time I had things tucked in underneath my shorts, and I had all my money in my pocket, and I left everything else behind. So it made it look like I'm just taking my dog for a walk. And what I did is I walked down the street, walked down like I always do, and walked to this big park. Now, mind you, the cartel uses sounds. Excuse me. Theirs happens to be a rooster. When you hear caw-caw, caw-caw, that's a signal saying that you're a chicken and we're following you. You know, that's kind of, I guess, what they're thinking is. Anyway, I'd go through this park every day and I'd hear this shit and I'd always give them the finger. Hey, fuck you, pendejo. I don't want to hear your shit, you know. So this time, I walked through the park, and what I did is I found a little coffee shop because it was a it was a popular part of town where tourists were at. And I walked into a coffee shop and sat down with my dog right in the middle of all the busy section. I got myself a cup of coffee, this and that, and I walked outside to a cab, walked right into the cab, got in, and I said, "Cuantos dineros to get me to Mazatlan?" Mazatlan was about 3 hours north. He said 3,000 pesos. I said, let's go. So we were en route to Mazatlan.
So now I hid from him. They said, this son of a bitch had a campsite. Look how nice it is. He took off, left his headphones and stuff. He's out here somewhere. Now the hunt was on. Then they had a helicopter, black, long, slim, dark helicopter. Kind of looked like a black limousine. It was the drug lord, so they got this helicopter. Then I hear him, then I hear "ma" out in the field, so I was moving along. So then I managed to get myself in a spot where I think I was going to be cornered. So I sat there through the night in the pouring rain. Didn't know what to do. Next morning I was trying to walk. Remember, I'm on sandals, thongs. These thorns were popping through my thongs and putting holes in my feet. Right now I got 2 spider bites or something at the bottom of my right foot. It's not real good, but I got through it. So anyway, long story short, I outsmarted him. What I did is I headed south. So I hid by a creek, real deep creek. I made it all the way through. At one point I thought they were going to come in and look. So I got me and the dog, got real close to the rocks, pulled ourselves real close in, and I knew they were looking down the way. So I gave them plenty of time. Honey was so good. So only after about 40, 50 seconds, I knew they were down there. I waited and waited and waited, and I could tell by my dog's reactions what's up. It was okay. So we carried on, did go all the way down. So their thinking was, we did look all the way down on the sides with our binoculars. He's not down there. We got here within 10 minutes of finding out he was at that store 2 hours ago. So anyway, long story short, they figured me out. So what'd they do? About yesterday, whatever, I'm at my site way deep in this creek, and I had to hide on both sides because I could hear their steps on the one side, so I get on the one side, move from me and Honey all the way over and get close. And what they did is they started using a dog. Barrel. So I thought that meant that dogs were coming, so I would run. I would listen to the warnings, meaning they're coming. Come to find out, it was a sign from them, like the cow moo, trying to tell me, we got our eyes on you. So they snuck me back into town again. So here I go.
If you could see me now, the one who said he would rather roam, the one who said he'd rather be alone. If you could only see me now, if I could hold you now, just for a moment, if I could really make you mine. Just for a while, turn back the hands of time. I could only hold you. I've been too long in the wind, too you could hear me now, singing somewhere in the lonely night, dreaming of all the yours that held me tight. You could only hear me now. I've been too long in the wind, too long in the rain, taking any comfort that I can. Looking back and longing for the freedom of my chains, and lying in your loving arms again. I can almost feel your loving arms again.
So now, about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, I said, well, I'm going to walk my ass right back in. I've been walking for days and my feet are sore and smart ass. They're watching me sort of. They even had an ambulance drive by me with the lights off showing me that, no, we got an ambulance waiting for you, you fucking punk liars. They had 2 military vehicles drive by earlier. I thought, well, I guess anybody can be bought. And those little sounds on the sides. At one point, they had me, right? And I could hear them, meow. I waited. All of a sudden, you hear, way out there in town. So they were kind of signaling, yeah, it's the military. Don't worry, you're safe in the head. So, anyway, I got into town and was right next to the police station and plugged my phone. And see, they didn't think I still had my phone. I haven't used it in 3 days. I went to jail, and so for like 4 or 5, 6 days, no phone. So they figured, and lately, I even walked out of town with just a pair of shorts on and walking my dog. Lost everything. But they didn't know this Slim Jim fucking phone was in my pocket. And I kept the charger with me, and I knew where to go. When they first let me out of jail after the FBI came, the first thing they did was put a gun to my dog's head and say, you ain't seen your fucking dog. And the FBI agent even made an agreement with me to let me see my dog. And anyway, so what I did is I was right next to the police station. I was charging my phone, and I know they got wind because I heard meow. Uh-oh, they're in town. Meow. They got wind of me being in town because of what I did. I came back into town the back road, long walk, at the perfect time at night, and I got myself into an OXXO, which is a store, with no shirt on. It was me. I mean, here I am, a pair of shorts, no shirt on. I'm grabbing things. Not real fast. I got a cup of coffee made, paid for it, and it kind of looked funny. Right in the middle of town. 2 doors down, I'm eating. I even ate Fruit Loops. Left it all there. Yogurt. Left my old sandals. Bought brand new sandals. Found a way to get a jacket and a long sleeve shirt and a short sleeve shirt and a thick blanket to hide from the rain. Perfect. Now I'm in town and they're driving by, and they even had a car stop by me. And this car was just sitting there, right? And you could see them with their cell phone coming on in the light, letting me know that there's somebody, and they had the brake lights, kind of let me know that we're watching you. So I didn't move, and they couldn't see the dog. I had my hair underneath this nice white dress shirt. You couldn't really tell what color I was. It was in the dark, and I just didn't move. So I waited and waited and waited. Well, I made my getaway. Here I am. I'm not going to say where I'm at, but you guys know where I'm at, and I'm ready to go. Love you guys. Thanks. Hear them up in the hills. It's them, the dogs. I'm about 3 kilometers past town.
You can shake an apple off an apple tree. Shake the sugar, but you'll never shake me. No siree. I'm gonna stick like glue. Ooh, stick I'm gonna stuck on you. You run my fingers through your long black hair, squeeze you tighter than a grizzly bear. Yes, sir. I'm gonna stick like glue.
When we arrived in the cab to Mazatlan, I instructed the driver to keep driving these nonsensical routes. He was getting aggravated with me, and I kept telling him, there's a reason I'm doing this, compadre. I want to make sure you're not having me followed, because I heard him talking on his cell phone, and I knew he's trying to tell somebody he's in Mazatlan, he's got some weirdo with him, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just trying to protect my ass to make sure we don't get stopped somewhere, or when I get off, somebody knew where I was at. Because as it stood, if you reached out to help me, give me money, give me food, give me anything if you see me hungry, especially when they shut off my ATM cards all the time. If you see me hungry and you handed me food, you ended up missing. I shit you not. It happened a couple times in little mercados. Little markets are called mercados. One was a sweet little heavy-set woman about 45, 50. I didn't want to talk about it. Anyway, so I got to Mazatlan. What I did is I got myself a motel room. No, yes, I did. I got a motel room. I stayed one night to shower, this and that, and get myself prepared. I knew I couldn't stay there. Once I left the motel room, I knew a place by the north shore of Mazatlan that I had been previously in the month of April, and I knew that if I went there, I could buy a tent and camp in this little RV park. They had little cement, areas where you could put your park or your RV, and I was going to put a tent there, so I did. In May of 2019, as I was in Ixtlan del Rio, I was approached by a gentleman in the hallway of this motel that I was staying in. He spoke perfect English. He said, "Hey, how are you?" I said, "Hey, I'm fine." I said, "I don't believe I've saw anybody speak English in the last 6 or 7 weeks." He says, "Where are you from?" I said, "Chicago." He said, "Oh, I used to live in Chicago." Me being a lifelong convict knew in my head that don't sound right at all. So I just listened. I said, "Oh, really? Whereabouts?" He said, 5th and Pulaski. He said, "Yeah, I was there for 5 years." Well, I'm from Chicago. There is a Pulaski, but there's no really 5th in Pulaski. You have Michigan, you have State Street, you have many major streets. But to say 5th in a city that big is kind of crazy. You would mention a big corner street. Anyway, I knew he was lying. And then he said, "Yeah, the food down there or up there, burritos, tacos, enchiladas." I said, "Yeah." "No, pizza and hot dogs. I don't know where you got those enchiladas from Chicago, but Chicago is pizza and hot dogs. We all know that." So anyway, we engaged in a conversation for a few minutes, and then we ended it, and I walked my dog. A couple hours later, I heard knock, knock, knock on my door. Well, I don't know anybody in this little town way down in Mexico, so I opened the door cautiously, and there he was. "Hey, man, can I borrow your phone charger?" I said, "Well, sure." So I got the phone charger, handed it out the door, and I made sure the door opened all the way, because I had an inclination that maybe he was a cop. He spoke good English, appeared to act like he already knew who I was, Chicago. He must have did some research into Chicago before he approached me, so I thought he was a cop. So I made sure my door was wide open to see my room was clean. I don't got no drugs on the bed. It was a small room. In my room, it was with my dog, and I let him make sure that he could see in my room. Well, about 45 minutes later, he brought the charger back. And as he was leaving, he stopped in front of my window and looked in my window, and I thought that was a little odd. He said, "Hey, you want a cerveza?" And I said, "No, thank you, I don't drink," because I don't. I quit drinking in 2009. I said, no, thank you, I don't drink. He said, how about some mota? You like mota? I said, yeah, sure, let's smoke a joint. So I came out of my room and I brought what little bit of weed I had with me over there to his room to show him that it had already dried out and I could use some fresh marijuana, some mota.
Yeah, this damn Central American motel room. I mean, if you're gonna be close to Panama, you'd think they'd at least have some Panama red, you know? You'd think. It ain't red, it's green and red and...
So long story short, he tells me, well, I can get you mota anytime you need it, just let me know. I said, well, I could use some now. He goes, well, let's go. I said, okay, so we took a walk. Well, as we were walking, I noticed that people on the street were waving to him, and he was drinking his Pacifico, and he drank quite a few of them. And then we approached where my car was parked. He started asking questions about the belongings inside my car. I had a gas grill, 8-man tent. I had all the propane gas tanks. I never used them because my intention was to go to Arizona to go camping, and I ended up crossing the Mexico border. So he asked me, how much would you take for all that? I thought, well, I could use cash because it's difficult to get cash down here. I can only use my credit card, but no ATM would give me cash. And we agreed upon 3,000 pesos, which is about $150. So I said, sure, I'll take 3,000 pesos. So he made a phone call and acted like he's talking to his wife. The reason I said acted was he said, I need to call to see if we have that much money. I thought that was a little strange. So he made a phone call. I noticed in his phone call, he's going through the items in my car. Cooler, blankets, blah, 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 in Hispanic little lingo of English and Spanish. I'm wondering, why is he detailing the belongings of my car? So a cab pulled up, and a young man about 16 got out of the cab and came up to him and gave him some money. He started swearing at him, stupido, pendejo, stupido, blah, 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 blah. And he looked at me. Isn't my kid stupido, dummy, stupido, pendejo. Look at this kid, pendejo. Get back in the car. So I made a comment. Hey, man, his name was Fernando, by the way. Hey, man, you don't need to be talking to your kid like that. Come on now, man. Don't be calling him an idiot and pendejo. He brought you his money, and, he did what he had to do. He's in the cab. Why are you calling him names? He's an idiot. So I said, whatever. Pendejo, stupido, whatever. Once in Mazatlan, the policia already had known me and my dog previously from like a few months earlier before all this started. Because I came from Arizona through Mexico, and the first place I stopped after I went to Guadalajara was Mazatlan. So I came back north from Guadalajara to Mazatlan, stayed there for 30 days. Then I went south, past Tepic, and I ended up in Ixtlan del Rio, where all this shenanigans began. Anyway, back to Mazatlan. Now I'm in Mazatlan. I know the cartel's after me, but the policia kind of watch over me by driving by all the time, always being around, never leaving me out of their eye. So anyway, one time, one of the cartel tried to get my dog. I had been, approached a few times, but this time, one of them came at me with a machete, and I have a scar, and there's proof, I'm sure, in the policia in Mazatlan. They had called me Pit Bull and Perro. Perro is a dog, so they kind of nicknamed me the Pit Bull and Perro because I had a Pit Bull dog, by the way. And I was acting like that. I was crazy, and I was screaming, and I'm calling these cartel this and that. I'm ready to fight, and I had my dog in one hand, my fist in the other hand. I'm ready to kill people, you know. I was just defending myself. I was going nuts. There were times I went 15 days with no food or water. True, I'd go to a restaurant. Agua por favor baños. That means, could you please just give me bathroom water? No. They would not help me. So anyway, back to Mazatlan. I was in jail there 4 or 5 times. The first 2 times, I couldn't understand what they were doing, but I realized they were trying to protect me. About the 3rd time, I realized they were entrapping me so the cartel could get me alone. So I'm in this little jail. There's no jail cells. It's a jail. It holds about 30 people. They have slabs of concrete. There's no mattresses. There's no nothing. Just slabs of concrete. And there's I guess you call it a bathroom, but it's not. People piss on the floor, and you shit on the floor in the cement. There's a little hole that you could squat over, but whatever. And most people had some slippers and some didn't, and I didn't. So I had to walk on that crap. Anyway, this particular time, when I was in there, I knew I was going to be in trouble and I'm going to have to fight for my life. So I walked in there. As soon as I walked in, and I could see in their eyes, you know, I'm looking around, and I flexed my muscles and walked all the way towards the end of the fucking jail cell, turned around and looked to my left, looked to my right, and walked back towards the front of the fucking cell and turned around and stared. I was ready. They didn't fuck with me. Old Perro Pit Bull wasn't going to take no shit. And they started to admire me. They did. And we're driving through town, and I had this on a video on my other Facebook, but they took down my Facebook. So as we're driving on the street, I have my cell phone in my hands, and I'm taking a video of what's going on with my cell phone. And I can hear next to me, Pendejo, Pinchy Agent. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, they think I'm an agent. So I kept the phone in front of me filming, and I'm smiling and laughing, ha ha ha, look at this little town. Then they got to behind a building, and they slowly turned behind this building. Slowly, slowly. And I'm filming as we're turning. And once we got straight, I could see in front of me was a station wagon. And it was backwards, facing backwards in front of us. And the door was open, and behind the door was a man with a rifle and an army helmet like this behind the door. And I could see him, and I had the camera. And I didn't say a word. I just put down the phone. I said, well, where's the mota? I acted like I didn't see him. And Fernando was in the backseat. He said, oh, well, a lot of federales have been around here lately, so he had to move. We'll have to go to another place. I said, okay. So he said in Spanish, blah, 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 and we stuck in reverse and backed away. Boy, that was a close call. I almost got killed. So then we drove away. Now, I knew now in my head, things aren't going very well. I need to get my butt home, back to the motel. My dog was back there, and I knew that I was in danger. So we're driving through town, through this old town, and I don't know where we're going, so I took out 50 pesos, and I handed it to the driver. I said, Motelo, por favor, andale. I smiled, gracias, meaning get me back to the motel, please, thank you, hurry up. So he drove back to the motel. When he got to the front of the motel, Fernando's in the back seat. Fernando says to me, hey, you come to our room because we want to talk to you. And I got out of the car as quickly as I could, the truck, and I made it upstairs to my room, and I got my 130-pound pit bull. Yeah, she was a big one. And I took her for a walk because I had been gone for 6 hours. So as I took her for a walk, I was walking around this little town. I was thinking to myself, my God, I almost got killed. What did they want me in the room for? And I knew what they wanted to do. Get me alone. So when I came back to the room, to the motel, it was called the Roma Hotel. I get to the hotel, I get back to my room, I look over to the left, and there's Fernando sweating bad. He goes, what happened to you? Because I didn't come right back up to his room. I said, well, I had to walk my dog, my Pata. I had to walk my dog. I went to my room. I said, I'll see you a little bit. Locked myself in my room. That's twice I know they wanted to kill me. Within 15, 20 minutes, he comes knocking on my door again. This time I'm thinking, oh man, I can't open the door. I said, I'll be right out. I'm taking a shower. He said, I'll be back. And he left. Well, I waited about 2 days, and I thought to myself, something's not right. I hope I'll be okay. Well, I decided to text him because my dog wouldn't go to the bathroom outside on the concrete. There's very little grass in Mexico. So I texted him, acting friendly. Hey, Fernando, my dog needs to go to the bathroom, but she won't go on the sidewalk or the pavement or the streets. Could you please help me tell me where to go in this little town where there may be some grass so my dog can have an ease time of going to the restroom? He calls me back. For some reason, I had a feeling about this. He calls me back. I said, hello? Hey. I said, hey, your dog's got to go to the bathroom, right? Yeah. Remember where your car is? I'm thinking, yeah. I said, oh, by all those abandoned buildings? Yeah. Well, go there. There's a lot of grass there. So I'm thinking, why does he want me to go where there's, the abandoned buildings? I don't remember no grass over there. I said, okay, well, thank you. He goes, you going now? I said, what was that? He goes, you going now? So I acted like I didn't hear him. I said, I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well. Could you repeat that? What'd you say, Fernando? He said, are you going now? Your dog, you got to walk your dog, right? You going now? That's not a good sign. So I said, no, she's not ready right now. Maybe in a little while, but I'll go in a little while. He goes, okay, I'll call you in the morning. I said, okay, bye. I knew my life was in severe danger. So I hid myself in the bathroom and I called 3 places. I didn't have international calling. I had Facebook, however, so I messaged my cousin and a close friend, please help me. I'm trapped in this motel room. The drug cartel's going to kill me. Come to find out, this Fernando afterwards, after I made these calls and the FBI tried to get me and they sent out people to try to pick me up and we were unsuccessful. I don't want to get into the details. At any rate, come to find out this Fernando was a bigwig in the drug cartel and we had started arresting many drug lords and people. And the 8th most wanted person in Puerto Rico got arrested with a bunch of marijuana. Some submarines coming from South America were busted with a bunch of cocaine. This all was directly related to me with this Fernando incident because I gave out his phone number. So on the 4th or 5th trip to jail, I'm sitting there. This wasn't my last trip, so it was the second to last trip there in that jail in Mazatlan. And this guy sits in front of me, and nobody really speaks English, and he goes, hola, compadre. I look up, and I'm thinking, something's out of place with this guy. I said, hola. And he continues to tell me this. He was like an admiral sergeant in the Armas, the Sinaloa Cartel Armas, he called it, which is like an army or a group of fighters, And he said, we're going to leave you alone. He said, and we would like to offer you a chance to come up through Culiacan and then to Arizona. I'm listening. He said, in Arizona, you do 11 months, that's 11 months, and then 4 days off, and then 11 months, 11 months, and then 4 days off. I couldn't really follow what he was talking about, but I'm listening. Then he said, You'll no longer need to keep your 1,500 euros a month in America. What's odd about that is I make $1,500 a month in America, but he called it euros, which means he knew who I was. Nobody there speaks English. I never told anybody. And two, he called it euros, which means he's in an international trade. Euros is a big money in the market, especially like Colombia or Brazil when you're trading overseas to Europe and stuff. So anyway, I'm listening and I said, well, thank you. And I patted him on the shoulder and I told him I was proud of him for being a high-ranking official in the Sinaloa cartel. And he said, thank you. But he had an accent. I think he was from Colombia. I just think so. And he looked at me about 38 or 40 maybe. 38 or 40. And I knew after that they were going to leave me alone, and they did. But unfortunately, I don't know, maybe a few weeks later, somebody got a hold of my dog and cut her up to pieces on the beaches of Mazatlan in October of 2019.
Sister, don't you do what your big sister done. Little sister, don't you do what your big sister done.
The nearest town's 100 miles. I don't know, what do you think?
On November 16th, 2019, I crossed the border from Tijuana into San Diego. The last trip was on a bus. I faked my name, got on the bus, and then they pulled the bus over and questioned me why I didn't have a passport. And I had to tell them the truth. I lost it. You don't say it was stolen or anything. I said, I lost it. I'm on my way back home to America, the United States, to Tijuana. I'm going to go back home and cross the border. He said, go on. So I did. And that's the end of that story. Once I got to San Diego, I had to go to a VA hospital for trauma. I weighed 133 pounds. I had lost about 45 pounds. In 175 days of what I call captivity. 60 of it was literally being captive in a motel room in Ixtlan del Rio. Moral of the story. You know what they say? Stay the fuck out of Mexico. Ciao.